Okay, back at it. And again, shout out to some of our sponsors of the Hawkstone International, Braun Workwear, as you can see there, and the guys at Tizers. All these people, the guys at Hawkstone and the Salop Motor Club, have pulled together a lot of people to get behind the whole event here, and it can't happen without them. So thank you to everybody that has got involved as a partner of the Hawkstone International. Big up to you. Before we get these guys, see Roger Warren down there doing the interviews with some of the riders for everybody here on site. Talking of the famous Hawkstone circuit, we actually have got some onboard footage from last year's Michelin MX Nationals. So we're going to throw to that and give you a little taste of what it's like to be in the mix on a slightly drier Hawkstone Park. So if we're going to try and get this crammed in before these guys go to the line, so as soon as we pull it up, you'll get a view of what it's like. So this was, as I mentioned, from last year's Michelin MX Nationals here. This is the 125 youth race. You see Charlie Heyman bursting around that first corner. A very drier circuit. This was on day one of the Michelin MX Nationals last year. But you get a sense of the size of the jumps, the speed and the width. These guys, it's a flowing circuit. It's not necessarily as fast as you think. The terrain gets so cut up. This is very early on in the weekend, so the track not that rough, as you can see. But already you've seen the action from the first two races here today, and it's cut up a lot more than this right now because of the moisture in the circuit. But you'll see there's plenty of choice to go around this circuit. You don't get too many, what I would say, sort of one-line corners. I mean, look at the ruts you've got to choose through there as you go through the whoops. This corner, sweeping right-hander that leads round up to the famous sandpit. Multiple lines. This bit will get really roughed out. This is the jump that Conrad Muse clipped the top and just crashed on. Then they launch out, a face full of sand in your face to deal with, over what used to be the big double jump, the famous double jump, under the equally as famous bridge. Inside, outside here leads you up to this next section. Now this last year, this had more of a drop into it and more of a jump out. Taking that out a little bit more now, as we said. Run down to the finish. Gets a bit tight through there. We've seen some really dramatic run-ins to the finish because you kind of naturally led out to the left, and by doing that, you leave a gap up the inside. So when you're racing for a victory, you've got to make a decision if you're in the lead. Do you hang it out wide, or do you leave a gap up the inside? Up the what we now call the halfway hill. We don't go right to the top. We do at some events, depending on the weather. Obviously the weather's not great here, so we're not doing that one. Then it drops down up to what is at the far sort of left-hand side of the circuit as you look from the start. This is a real nice corner to ride. Always liked to go around there. Over this small tabletop, it drops down quite dramatically, hard on the brakes, a classic inside out. That's a good passing spot there. And then it leads up into the woods a little bit more. It gets a bit tighter up through here, but it's still multiple lines. Drops down, a little step down, double step down, and back onto where the start corner came out. And effectively, that is one whole lap round Hawkstone Park.
Back.
And he's back. So now back to real time, and is Kelvin Verlanderen. Obviously, he's got a marker down there, seeing if there's space down the bottom. Looking good for him. There's Sean Simpson, goggles in mouth, like some kind of golden retriever. And there's Ben Watson. This will be interesting to see where Ben's at on the new Kawasaki racing team. I say it's new for Ben, obviously,
yeah.
But also kind of new for Kawasaki as well. For the last number of years, yeah, for the last number of years, the Kawasaki effort has been run out of Belgium.
This is
Ice. Well, they've dropped the Ice One, but effectively, yeah, Kimi Räikkönen and Antti Pyöränen, team manager of that, what used to obviously run Ice One, are now picked up the running Kawasaki's official effort.
Yeah, which is so cool. Kimi Räikkönen, obviously being a Formula One driver, a very, very famous Formula One driver, and has been known for some of his comms back to the pits and stuff. Quite funny, actually, if you want to look at Kimi Räikkönen's expulsion.
I always liked Kimi, but for that very reason, because he was
honest.
Yeah, because he didn't get caught up in too much of the corporate stuff.
He wouldn't. If they asked him to do something he didn't want to do, he just said no.
Yeah.
No. no.
But was that your impression of Kimi
no.
Räikkönen?
It's just
I don't
straight
recall
away.
him sounding like that. It was a good effort. Not quite executed.
Stop talking to me.
But it's great to have Kimi in the sport. And I tell you what, he is a massive fan. There's a lot of Finnish guys that are. I know he's friends with the former Liverpool football captain Sami Hyppia. And Sammy, they go out riding, because Sammy's, sometimes you see him rock up at a GP. Kimi loves his dirt bike.
Yeah.
So
a lot of them
great.
do. Yeah. It's the best motorsport in the world.
Yeah, of course.
The only reason they're doing F1 is because they can't do motocross at this level. So, you know,
Brilliant.
if you're listening, Kimi.
That's exactly it. Then they're not interested. It's not about the money.
No.
They're just doing Formula One because they can't do
They
motocross.
can't do motocross.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah, that's literally it.
I'm glad we've gone on record
Yeah.
saying that.
So you'll see a lot of the guys drop their back wheel just at the back of the gate there and then give it a quick spin. That just gets all the excess sand off. Hopefully they want as much traction as they can off the metal grids.
Yeah, this is going to be another interesting one. You know, it is. It's just first race of the year. You just never really know who's going to come out. Got some idea. There's been a couple of internationals up to this point, but here we go then. Gate drop for the first MX1 moto here at the Hawkstone International 2020. Nice start for Jake Millward down the pipe. He's going to pull the whole shot. As he know, it's Glenn Koldenoff into an early lead, followed by Kulas and then Ben Watson. This is going to be good then. Those two Yamahas.
Looks like Millward, mate, got a really
Well, he
good
did
start
get a
as well.
flyer. He's in second, but behind him was those two Yamahas. So, and Watson. This will be good then. Millward did make a flyer.
Past Glenn Koldenoff for the lead on the Verde Sports KTM. Look at that. That's wicked. So Carrot pulling the trigger right off the gate. I'm sure Koldenoff's like, who is this?
Yeah, well, I'm sure he'll be able to read his name and number on the back. Of course, Verdi have got a sort of new joint title sponsor this year, Shillo as well. So it's Verdi Shillo team. I think that's all we're pronouncing that right. If not, I'm sure Aid will pull us up on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good that or Silo, sorry. So it's good that those guys are picking in new sponsorship to help them run the team. So that's good. So now these 450s will clearly have a bit more oomph to get up over that ridge. Marty Barr on the Apico Husqvarna goes down in his what looks like good old US of A kit.
Doesn't look like
Oh,
some
look,
sort of
he's got
nation- the front brakes.
Is it front brake or was it his starting device?
Maybe.
Looked like his starting device was stuck
locked
on.
on.
Probably got some sand in there.
No.
Yeah, so the old launch control playing havoc for Marty Barr. We get a bit of a one-line situation going on around there, as in dry line at the minute. Some of them taking up the inside. There's Van Donnick. Simpson's just ahead of him in that quite impressive and Larry FXR get up.
Yeah, they do some pretty cool kits, don't they?
They
I
really
actually
do.
like the FXR stuff. It's pretty cool.
Right on
Talking
cue.
about FXR. I think that's a South African rider, I believe. I'll find him.
Yeah, well, you're looking at the wrong class for one.
Yeah, well that was you.
There you go. Try that one.
Right. Yeah, Jaden Ashwell, and he rides for AJP.
Oh, of course, the AJP Gas team. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the new Gas team.
Yeah, those guys are
I
also
think
racing in the Michelin MX Nationals.
They
They get
are,
involved. Yeah.
and AMSA Championship.
Yeah.
So busy year for them. And I know he wanted, well, he expects quite a lot from himself. He's actually really fast. If you watch him at the practice tracks and stuff, he's a very impressive rider. He's almost as tall as Jasiconas.
Really?
Yeah, serious. He's a big lad. There's Ben Watson on screen right now, the 919.
Yeah, it's going to be, like I said, see where Ben's at, really. He's obviously right now probably still got some tweaks to make. You have to say, your race leader, Millward, is Jake Millward, looking good at the minute. But, of course, Jake, as we said, established team. Yes, it's a new bike, but the bike hasn't changed much from last year. He knows where he's at, basically.
Millward's snapping necks right now. This is what I like to call snapping neck syndrome.
What is that?
So if you're not expected to be there, people are just going to be diving with their necks, aren't they? Snapping necks.
Okay,
look,
turning around.
Yeah, that's it. So Millward's
It's a bit of a harsh...
snapping necks right now.
Yeah, harsh analogy, but...
no,
okay.
but super impressive. Super impressive. I can't believe he's still going. And it doesn't look like Koldenoff's got anything for him quite yet. So
well, yeah, it's early in the day. Kulas will go the distance. We know that in third. Bogas as well. They're looking good. So look at the amount of Dutch riders in the top 10. As I said, there's going to be, I think, a renaissance for Dutch riders. I really do. I think this generation has basically motivated a new generation of Dutch rider. So I think we're going to be getting quite a few Dutch youngsters coming through. Kay de Wolf, the shining example.
If you look at the EMX series and even the Yamaha, you know, the Blue Crew thing they do in Europe, it's full of Dutch riders. Yeah. So many of them. So yeah, you're probably right. And I think that their country needs it as well. Like they need, like this is their thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's always been traditionally in Northern Europe, Belgium sort of ruling the roost, really, and obviously France. But
Belgium now, though, having problems with tracks being closed,
yeah,
of noise and things. So a lot more of the riding happens across the border more now in Holland. So
as it's shaping up, though, I honestly would have not put Jake Millwood as being in the lead at this stage of the race. No. So fair play to him for that. Koldenhoff, Kulas, Bogas, Watson in 5th. Then it's Vlaanderen. TKO, Thomas Kier Olsen in 7th ahead of Dan Thornhill. Dan's looking good, very good on the cab screens.
Yeah,
Present Yamaha.
Solid ride right now.
Yeah, then it's Van Dominic and top 10 rounded out by the SS24 machine of Sean Simpson, the man mountain that is AJ. Arminis Jasikonis is in 11th ahead of Putes. And Adam Sterry back in 13th. Gav Stevenson in 14th. Jake Nichols, not where he'd want to be, I would suggest.
No, definitely not. We've got Olksmark, J. Olksmark, 16th. Is that how we pronounce that name? And is that Luke Burton there behind? I think
yes,
his name
it is.
Just spelt slightly.
No, that's they spelt that wrong on the timing. That's actually Luke Burton, not Barton.
Multiple AMCA champion Luke Burton.
Yeah,
he's back with the FUS team this year, so he's going to want to. You know, he's back with his old team where he had quite a lot of success. Still, mate, Millward's pulling out. It's almost confusing. I mean, I love Jake. Great rider. Absolutely great rider. He's had some flashes of excellence, but mate, this is mint.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that this is his bag, in a big way. Doncaster kid, or around that area. Don't think necessarily Doncaster, but definitely that part of the country. A lot of sand tracks. You know, he likes this stuff.
It's as I said, the MX1 classes. These guys will just be sussing stuff out at this point. You know, it's so much more, these international races, the pre-seasons, than just racing. Yeah. You know, the riders will obviously process where they're at. The teams will go away. There'll be a bunch of data, no doubt. They're obviously with modern motocross bikes. Yeah. There's all kind of analytics and whatever. They'll be plugging in, won't they, and getting the data of where the bike's at. And
the difference with that, though, on a factory team like Koldenhoff, you know, Watson, will be a completely different level to what, you know, Millward's got availability to do. I mean, their team's amazing, but they're not on a factory level. And they're still leading this race.
Yeah.
And looking pretty good right now.
That is one of the wonders of the sport. You know, you could argue that the factory riders normally work their way to the top. But in other forms of motorsport, you more
never
often
see that.
Than not, you pretty much always see like the powerhouse teams 100%. At the front.
Yeah.
And very rare will you get...
never see that.
Very rare will you see a privateer, you know, jump into the lead of an F1 race.
No, hopefully Jake manages to get out at Matterley next weekend as well. I think he lives down that way now with his partner. I know obviously he was raised in the Sheffield area, but I think he lives down there now, near Matterley. So
all right.
I imagine he will do it if he's got the opportunity. He's definitely proven that he's got the speed right now.
Yeah, well, that's coming up next week, of course. For those of you, of course, we won't be live streaming that. That's all commercial rights belonging to In Front Media and the MXGP, so you'll have to get a TV subscription for that through them. But of course,
one day, Jeff.
One day, the MXGPs will going to be starting next weekend at Matterley Basin, the home of the British GP. We bang on about the amount of GPs that have been here at Hawkstone, Farley, Fox Hill, all these places. But actually, Matterley Basin has now held as many GPs, not more than most of them. So, more. You know, we forget how long we've been going to Matterley Basin, and it's a wonderful venue.
2007?
Yeah, well, I think the Motocross of Nations
06,
was 06, yeah. 06. So we've been going there a long time, and kudos to Steve Dixon and his team for basically putting their balls on the line and making it happen.
I remember 2006. I remember having a laser Stefan Everts helmet, right? Saw Stefan. I said, mate, I need to go to the van to get my helmet. Could you sign it? He waited for 15 minutes for me to come back. Honestly, I couldn't believe it. I did not expect him to be still there.
Well,
he waited. I couldn't believe, honestly, Mint, take my hat off to him.
Well, you know, your Lord Callum Swan.
Well, that's it. That's the truth.
People.
Back then, I was definitely not.
No, there's some good people in this sport, and that's the other thing we love about it, is it's so accessible. You pay your money to come in. You can get close and up personal to the riders. You know,
I think
let's be
in
honest,
a different way, yeah, compared to like road racing.
Well,
sports.
or Formula One. You can go and watch Formula One. It's only the elite few that are going to get access to the drivers over the weekend. Yeah. The beauty of our sport is, you know, you can get close to the track. You can meet and greet the riders.
Yeah, they'll be just walking around with everybody. You can just go and, you know, have a chat with them and grab them. They might have their headphones in. Just give them a nudge on the shoulder, grab them, ask them a question. They'll be there.
Just say, here, mate, can you just hold fire 15 minutes while I run back to the van and get my crash helmet?
You know, I think they appreciate the fans a little bit more in motocross because, you know, without them, no one's earning any money, are they? So.
Exactly that. Well, you see Koldenoff there going for his toggle on his 100% roll-offs. There is, well, that's not Kulas, is it? So no, that's Bogas has moved up to third then. So he's gone past Kulas. So ignore the timing. Since they crossed the line, Bogas has moved up into third ahead of Kulas. There's Kulas rocking O'Neill kit this year. They have had a change of clothing in that camp. They were with a service. Or a Cherbis, however you want to pronounce it. I'm never really sure. People say one, some people say the other. But anyway, the team is now in O'Neill kit.
I quite like the O'Neill stuff. They're trying to, I think they're on a big push back, aren't they, O'Neill? Trying to get back into sport. I mean, they've
well, certainly in Europe, but of course.
Yeah, well, they've been with Dean Wilson in the States for a long time, haven't they? And stuff. I think they just want to try and raise their profile a little bit more again. Yeah,
absolutely. There's so many, obviously, amazing kit brands out there now. We've been fortunate enough as well, obviously, several getting on board with the live stream. Notably, of course, Seven. Big shout out to them for getting behind what we're doing, and the guys at Fly. Who's that gone down there?
That is Millward.
Oh, Millward, race leader, goes down.
Absolutely gutted.
He was having a good one. You can see the frustration, actually, a little bit of a like, oh, I can't believe I made that mistake. So that's going to put Koldenoff in the lead.
Hopefully it wasn't too high speed and he hasn't bent the bike up too much.
I think he just did the classic. That's real. Tell you, there is some genuine hard sandstone around that corner.
Yeah, and you get it. They start sticking up, don't
and
they?
I honestly think he's just dragged the front end round there and it's washed out. Didn't see it happen, of course, but my guess is he caught one of those harder square edges that you can't see under the sand.
No, you can't.
And so that's put him on his backside. He's dropped out of the lead. So obviously when they come across the finish line next time around, the timing will refresh. For those of you who just may be watching motocross for the first time and wondering what it's all about, a little bit of insight how we do the timing here. On the front of their bikes, if you zoomed in enough there, you'd see it. Strapped to the fork leg is a tiny little orange box. We call it a transponder. And basically they're charged up before they go out. And there's a loop that runs under the finish line. And at some events as well, we have sector timing. And basically that tells us where everybody is on the track. So that's how we do the timing with these guys. The traditional lap scoring days there as backup. I wouldn't want to be doing lap scoring a day because you got a job to see the numbers on the bike.
So Brian Bogus there, new standing construct Husqvarna. So they've changed. They were gas last year. So new
well, they've
new bike, not new bike. You know,
they've changed quite a lot in the last year because they went from
KTM
to gas.
They've just gone through all the KTM group.
Yeah,
I think they are the team where it's like, right, okay, we've got an allocation of these bikes, then that's where the support goes to, isn't it?
And I'm sure they're welcome of it.
Yeah, for sure. And so Bogus, number 189, 52 MXGPs. And best result is a 6th in the MXGP series. And he's just announced a baby on the way, due on Christmas Day, and it said it's a boy. No, they announced it on Christmas Day. It's just a boy, and they're having a boy in January. So he's got a little boy on the way, Brian Bogus. So get your sleep in whilst you can, Brian, because that's all going to change, mate.
I'm sure he'll be fine with that, just fine. Watson's starting to get a bit of a move on now. coming good, as we've seen Ben do so many times before. That's probably one thing that, if you talk openly and candidly with Ben, he'd probably say, do you know what, I just need to get a bit better at starts and race pace in the first 5-10 minutes. Once he gets into the swing of it, Ben Watson can go some, there's no doubt about it. But at the minute, you could argue that he just gives up a little bit too much time to some of his rivals at the start of the race.
So just had a little bit of a WhatsApp message from Mel Pocock. Used to be a top rider back in the day, didn't he? Praising our MXGP coverage. MXGP? MXGP class, isn't it?
You're trying to
MX1.
get that gig, aren't you?
MX1 coverage. Yeah, cheers, Mel. I appreciate your positive comments. Anybody else wants to comment? If you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, drop a comment in there. Make sure you subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah,
indeed.
like and subscribe if you can. We need this. You know, like the more likes, the more subscriptions, the bigger argument we have with sponsors, and we can make this bigger and better for you in years to come. Because that's the goal, isn't it? That's the greater goal, mate. We need to raise motocross into a professional limelight within the UK.
Well, absolutely, and you can say, you know, there's the argument about, okay, with live streaming events, it would potentially stop people coming out. I don't see it that way.
No, not
you
at
know,
all.
you watch, for example, music festivals online or whatever. That doesn't stop you not wanting to go there.
Yeah, they might want to stop F1 on the TV because, you know, it might stop people from buying tickets. How backwards is that thinking?
Yeah, well, you know, so hopefully we'll do a lot more of these. Ben, just about nearly tucking the front end in there, but I think maybe
he's not good, to be fair.
well, he's leggy.
He's up to third.
He's another one that's leggy. You can rely on those paddle his way around when we get in conditions like this. You don't want to. Obviously, the technique is to ride very much feet up as much as you can, be energy efficient. But let's be honest, with a bike squirming around underneath you like you're trying to ride a snake at a rodeo.
Yeah.
You
Some of these
wanna-
lines look just vile. I'm watching it. Thinking, would you like to do a lap round there right now?
Listen, pal, I'm telling you straight. I've done my laps around Hawkstone, so the answer to that is no.
Absolutely.
I loved it then. I wouldn't love it now. All right. I think there just comes an age where you think, do you know what? I'm done with this sport. It's great as it's been, but that doesn't look so appealing to me these days.
They do like the odd clubman race here and stuff like that throughout the year, and I'm always like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
So it looks like Ben Watson is starting to smoke up as well there, steam up for whatever reason. Not sure, maybe clogged radiators. Of course, those factory bikes have fans on the radiators and stuff like that to keep the ventilation running through. But if the front end of those rads are clogged right up, that might be causing an issue. And that's the problem. Another reason for getting out in front and staying out of trouble. And basically, you can see the rad grills there. Obviously, again, if you're new to the sport, so the water-cooled models and the rads are on the side, the front side of the bike, basically just in front of the rider's knees. And they're going to get a lot of the sand and roost off the rear wheel of the tyres in front, and then
especially these scooped tyres as well.
Yeah, and then basically the fins on the radiator get clogged up, therefore struggles for getting air in and water in on the coolant, and they start to get hot, particularly a modern four-stroke.
Yeah, I mean, they do have, you'll see a lot of them are running nets, like you would see on the front of Kulas's bike there. If you really do look hard, they do have like nets that cover the radiator louvers, but they're only going to take so much, aren't they?
Yeah.
And then they'll start blocking up themselves. So like, they're designed to, the sand will hit on it and it'll fall off. But when the sand is wet like this, they can actually start blocking up, and it's actually worse than not having them on. So it can play both ways with that. Some people will choose to run them, some teams will choose to not run them.
So you're running order where you can see it on your screen, but let's quickly go through it. Koldenoff leading the way ahead of Bogers. Then Watson up to third now. Kulas dropping back to fourth, but still a solid ride for him. Balandron is in fifth. Then it's TKO, Thomas Pierre Olsen, Brent Van Donnick there. Jasakonis moving up slowly up to seventh. Simpson, I think he'd be okay with that because Sean has...
he announced his retirement.
Well, yeah, there is that. But, you know, what I mean is, speaking to Sean yesterday, he was like, you know, he kind of came into it knowing he's a little bit behind where he should be or whatever. So I think he'd be okay with that.
Well, I imagine, it's Sean, so, you know, he's an active guy, but he would have been a bit more of a couch potato, not knowing that he wasn't racing. You know, so he's probably had 2 months. He'll be 2 months behind, won't he? And he, like you said, he'll know that, and he'll have work to do. Top 10 today, 2 top 10s would be great. Getting into the super final, that's where you want to be. I don't think Sean will be too, like you said, I don't think he'll be too disappointed with that. You've got to be happy, haven't you, with that, I suppose. The guys in front of him are all GP riders.
Yeah, I think
top 20 GP riders. So
listen, it's going to be it's an odd off season anyway, because we all know how messed up the world has been through the last couple of years, but we're trying to get what we'd call a regular motocross calendar back on schedule. So with that in mind, these guys went deeper into the year with their race schedule last year than ever before, and now we're trying to get it back on track, and we're starting, here we are, in February riding. Some of these guys have had no off season at all.
Not a lot.
And they've changed teams, a lot of them as well, so they've had no time to rest the body. They've had no time to really test and get used to their new environment.
This is tested. They're probably testing here.
Yeah.
This, and there we are. Ben's now lost his goggles. This is going to be a thing. The track's in that weird place where it's not wet, but it's not dry. It's sort of like that sticky sand, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like there is like an element of like a little bit of clay in this dirt and sand as well. So you can see the backs of the jerseys and everything. It's just sticky, horrible mess. It's gone to that middle ground now where it is going to start clogging up radiators, clogging up goggles, and everything else. And I don't think it's going to get much better throughout the day, if I'm honest.
No, probably not. Well, to be fair, it is not the heavy rain that we expected. So in that sense, big rock seen rolling out of the rut there. But yeah, it's not as bad as we thought. We thought we were in for far worse than this at this stage. And, we're already coming to the end of the first block of racing for the big bike. So not too bad in that respect. Goggles, definite issue. If you were watching during the interval, you'd have seen the feature that we did with Bob Buchanan yesterday. A real insight to actually how important goggle preparation is and what you can do, particularly in conditions like this. As Bob said, you can have $4,000 spent on tuning a motor, but what use is that if you can't see where you're going?
Yeah. No, he's right. He's right. And he does such a good job with the goggles, doesn't he? I went over there then when we was having a break, and he's got like a couple of the dirty ones on the table there, just because I know he gets of it. He loves it, doesn't he? He's like, look at that, look at that, look at that, clear vision. I'm like, yeah, mint, Bob, yeah, mint. But that's his thing. He loves it. So
yeah. Do you know he actually wears them to bed?
He probably wears his Oakley glasses to bed. Stuck to his head there.
So we're counting down this one. We can't be far from seeing the one-lap board coming out for your race leader, Koldenhoff, who, to be fair, has not checked out. But then, what's he doing? There we go, 3:42 left to run, plus 1 lap. So Koldenhoff with a 1.3-second lead. Watson dropping back a little bit now after having to chuck his goggles off. I think he's become a bit too far detached from these top two. The only thing I can see really changing here is Kulas coming back at Ben Watson, really. Valanderen, though, could get a march on. Anywhere from 3 to 6 might change. Beyond that, I can't see too much happening.
I've noticed something happening. Jake Nichols is up to 12th. He's
another one, isn't he?
He's been picking away throughout the race. I've just seen his name, slowly picking away up the running order. So, he's going to be a bit happier with that position, I think. From where he started, that's been quite a challenge to get up to there.
Yeah, absolutely. There we go.
500. It's a bit of you in it, that, Jeff.
Oh, I never raced them. I used to train on one when I was doing 250 GPs. A track locals near me would know. In some, it was a place called Babylon Hill. So it was a private bit of land. Never got graded at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Nasty.
Playground. Yeah. It was kind of our version of Carlsbad, I suppose. Yeah, man, I got plenty of blisters riding up there on a 500, I can tell you.
I was listening to a story the other day about when Honda actually developed the auto gearbox, and apparently it worked amazing in the 500s, but it was sort of like the end of that sort of, having the 500 GPs, and then they ran them in the 250s, and it did work good. They couldn't get it to work in Supercross, though, could they?
No.
But it was, that's mad. They were trying stuff like that then.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it's gone now. Like, why are we not doing it now? That looks like Gav Stevenson.
It is Gav, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, no. So, Gav, this is, well, look, there's another. This is motocross in wet sand, basically. That's what you get. No matter how much technology we throw at it, and all these teams do, you still, to not have the overheating problem, it's luck of the, you know, nobody's ever really mastered it 100%, have they? You know.
No. And nothing to, I mean, how are you going to stop the radiators from clogging them? You're not, even if these electronic water pumps coming in now, they're not even going to stop it, because all you're doing is moving boiling water around the system. There's no way of cooling it quicker, really. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just a factor, isn't it? Something you've got to deal with. Until we go electric, we're going to have overheating. And then we'll probably have it then.
Yeah,
I don't know.
you'd
have like the battery cells overheating, and I think you'll always have it.
But that's, again,
it's a gnarly sport.
It's motorsport. It's part and parcel of it. You know, how many, I'm sure people out there watching, you know, there's got to be a percentage of, I don't know, like 70 or 80 people at some point have had a mechanical or technical issue that's cost them a race result.
Yeah, 100. Yeah,
you know,
yeah, without a doubt.
You know what you get. You
Even
know,
these factory teams, it's irrelevant.
And that is actually part of the beauty of motorsport. You know, things can go wrong, whatever. It's not when you're on the receiving end of something like that happening. It's one of the most frustrating things in the world.
Stephen Clark's messaged me, can I have a shout out? So he's watching with Adam Wells and Andy as well. So yeah, big shout out to Stephen Clark. He is, you know, a British Championship rider. Done some AMA Supercross. Adam does some racing as well. So yeah, there you are, boys. I know you'll like that one. And enjoy the rest of your day.
I've got no signal and battery on mine, so luckily I'm not getting.
Mine's dipping in and out.
Yeah, we might make the occasional shout out, but I would just like to reiterate, it's you know, it's
a professional gig.
Well, no, we're not that professional.
Well, you're telling me off.
No, I'm not telling you off. What I'm saying is, I'm not encouraging loads of people to now start messaging you.
Oh, no. Well, talk of the devil.
Yeah, you see,
Stuart Edmonds, straight in there. What about my shout? Right, yeah, boys, I'm done.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Stuart's in Spain, in sunny Spain, enjoying red sands at the minute.
Well, at least they know they're watching.
Yeah,
right.
That's it.
Yeah, so if we're doing music, we're doing music requests as well later on.
Yeah, well, let's do it. Let's get a DJ in, mate. We've got all this deck in front of us here. Come on, right? Let's get back focused in the races. We're probably on the last lap now. Not much longer to go. We can remain focused for another 2 or 3 minutes.
Oh, we can. You know, listen, this is a pre-race, championship event. Again, shout out the pop-ups coming up here. To
Brian Bogus is leading. When did this happen?
It's when you when you were taking requests.
Oh, well. No, I think Koldenoff must have had some sort of...
He has. There's no way Bogus has just gone 9 seconds ahead of him. So, yeah, basically Koldenoff has made some kind of mistake there while Stephen Clark was distracting us.
Cheers, lads. That's it. We haven't got a job anymore. So, see you later.
Yeah. So this will be good for Bogus. You know, he's... but, you know, again, it's a final run in before it really gets down to the serious business next weekend at Matterley. He'll be pleased with it. The team will be pleased with it. Look, a race win at any event is a race win, no matter which way you take it. And he was in the right place at the right time, because we're pretty certain that Koldenoff has made a mistake here because of the time. He's lost, he was in the lead and now he's nearly 10 seconds back. So impressive ride actually for Brian here. You know, if you look at the gap there, I know Glenn Koldenoff has just made a mistake on the on that factory Yamaha, monster back Yamaha, but they're quite a ways ahead. Kulas, another solid ride. Remember, 1 lap to go, so Kulas doesn't normally race GPs. He does the occasional one. That's Thomas Kjær-Olsen facing the wrong way.
I know. Something's gone wrong there, and he's in 5th. You imagine he'd have lost that now to Ben, and then Jasikonis is not too far behind. What's Koldenoff not going to be able to do anything now, is he? I think he's in a pretty safe spot.
Oh yeah, with 1 to go, he's dropped another 4 seconds on
he's definitely
on Brian,
the fastest guy on the circulating right now. Yeah, Harry Kulas, mint ride, 3rd for Harry.
Yeah, I said cab screens, present Yamaha. Those guys had a fantastic year last year on the domestic scene. And I don't know what their exact plans are. I'll have to go and chat to them, see if they're going to potentially try and do some GPs this year, 1 or 2. But they definitely want to retain their Michelin MX Nationals crown and obviously go for the Revo Gulf Fuels British Championship as well, because he came up just a little bit short to Tommy Searle last year. That was brilliant. Brilliant. Went to the end. Yeah, great championship.
All the way through last year in MX Nationals and the Revo British Championship was awesome.
Yeah.
You know, I urge you to get out and watch them. Go and do it.
Absolutely. You know, obviously it looks like, look, there's still, you know, we're still hopefully, you know, just coming off the very back end of the pandemic. Hopefully it stays that way. But so far, it's all good. Look at that crowd.
How awesome is that? A cold winter's day like this, and that crowd's come out to watch. Live stream definitely hasn't affected the
I don't think so.
The numbers.
Doesn't look like it, that's for sure.
It looks better than past years. I mean, normally you don't get people on the fences in this whoop section either. You know, like in the Woodside. So, man, this is amazing. Really good to see. People have been gagging for live stuff to start again, though, haven't they?
I'd like to think so, yeah. You know, and particularly just with race action, you know, as we said, being out at the races it's just such a cool place to be. It's an accessible sport, which is what I've mentioned before. You can get out, meet and greet the riders.
That was a nice line then of Bogus, right on the inside of that jump.
Yeah, I've noticed a few doing that. He's going to bring it home then. So he's going to take the opening moto win here at the Hawkstone International MX1 class. I say that, and he's like footing his way through the rut, but he got it over the line. Little kind of half-hearted, yeah, got that one in the bag. Thank you very much. I'll go back, whack on some clean kit.
Yeah, so
get some sand out of my eyes and
good
go again.
Good ride for the standing Construct Husqvarna team. So I don't know whether he's been doing the other internationals. I imagine they've been in France doing them as well. So was Bogus factory Honda?
Yes,
at some point. Yeah,
he was. There's Glenn Coldenoff. I think he'd be okay with that.
Yeah,
obviously he'd probably put his hand up and say,
ideal.
Had that one in the bag, made a bit of a mistake. At least that's what we think it was. We didn't actually see it.
Probably right in front of our eyes. We just missed it because of the whole Stephen Clark distraction. It's like Partygate, but just Stephen Gate.
Koulas should be over the line in third. Indeed he is. Verlanderen a solid fourth. Ben Watson fifth. I guess he's going to be happy with that. We're going to try and actually catch up with some of them very, very quickly if we can. Between motos, some of them are parked pretty close to where we actually are, so we might actually jump out of the booth and try and get some info on seeing how they're feeling. Jasikonis coming in sixth ahead of Sean Simpson for seventh on the SS24 machine. Thomas Kier Olsen, who we saw facing the wrong way, recovered to come in eighth ahead of Adam Sterry, who slowly but surely worked his way up there. That was, he kind of came into the top 10 unnoticed because he was way down. So well done to Adam for that, and Davy Puches comes in 10th. There you go. Right, we're going to go back now to some racing with the EMX 125s coming up next.